So Shohei Ohtani, he is a baseball player. He just signed a massive, like $700 million deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He is, I think, the best baseball player right now, largely because he hits and bats. Sorry, he pitches and hits at phenomenal levels. And he is kind of embroiled in controversy right now, largely surrounding gambling, okay? So, and I may mispronounce his name, but Mizuhara is Ohtani's longtime interpreter and really kind of close confidant. He worked with the Los Angeles Angels where Ohtani was. When he signed to the Dodgers, he said basically that Mizuhara had to come with him. And on Wednesday, it came out that he was actually fired by the Los Angeles Dodgers. And he was fired because of his connection with his alleged connection with an illegal gambling operation in California. So sports betting is illegal in California, but there's basically an illegal bookkeeper that is involved here, okay? And according to the reporting out there, a total of $4.5 million was wired from Shohei Ohtani's account, the baseball player, Shohei Ohtani's account, to the illegal gambling bookmaker, okay, bookkeeper. And when this kind of story, when ESPN, I think it was, originally reached out to Ohtani and the Dodgers, some of Ohtani's people came out and said, well, actually, that was Mizuhara, okay? That was his gambling debts. Ohtani didn't gamble. That was Mizuhara's gambling debts, and Ohtani just paid off his friend's gambling debts, okay? And Mizuhara actually sat down for a 90-minute long interview with ESPN explaining how he was a degenerate gambler. He had this problem. He'd gotten way over his head. And he kind of, went to Ohtani, approached Ohtani, asked him to pay off his debt. Ohtani, being a friend, did, and sent the money. Now, the next day, as ESPN was about to publish that story, Ohtani's people came out and disavowed everything from the previous day. Disavowed that Ohtani had been involved in any capacity, and that instead, Mizuhara had actually stolen money from Ohtani. Okay, had actually stolen money. Okay, so everything changed in one day, and now the question becomes, what really happened, right? And I don't have any inside information, obviously. I'm reading the same articles that everyone else is reading, but there's really three options here. Okay, the first option is that the story that Ohtani's people came out with the second time around, that Mizuhara stole Ohtani's money, is legitimate, okay? So Mizuhara, in some way, some form, maybe because he was kind of basically Ohtani's best friend, his assistant in some ways, had access to Ohtani's bank accounts, and using that access, withdrew and wire transferred money to the bookkeeper with Ohtani having no knowledge of it. That could have been the case, okay? The second option is that the first story that the Ohtani's people told ESPN, that Mizuhara was gambling, was way in over his head, and approached Ohtani about his debt, and Ohtani, being a friend, paid off his debt. The issue with that, though, is Ohtani then would be, Mizuhara's already probably committed a felony, but in that scenario, Ohtani would also have committed a felony because it's an illegal bookkeeper. Not only that, okay, but it's a really bad look for the MLB if their star player is associated with gambling at all, and he clearly is associated with gambling in some capacity. But the third potential scenario here is by far would be the worst for Major League, and that is that Ohtani himself was gambling with this illegal bookkeeper, was using Mizuhara as maybe a go-between or something like that, and got caught, and now Mizuhara is the fall guy. That it was actually Ohtani gambling, Ohtani's debts that he was paying off, and then Mizuhara is simply the fall guy. That would be by far the worst-case scenario, but it's also, if we're using just Occam's razor here, the most plausible in the sense that Ohtani's account is the account that wired the money. It would therefore be the simplest explanation that Ohtani sent the money because it was his account, He had access. He sent the money. Okay, that's the most reasonable, or the using Occam's razor. I don't know which one it is, but either way, this story is, we haven't seen the end of the story because it's part of a federal investigation to begin with. We will find out more details than we would if simply it was an MLB investigation. In fact, the MLB did say that they did open an investigation into Shohei Ohtani's behavior, and they actually announced that at like 6 p.m. on a Friday night. So, pretty solid Friday news dump there. But if this were just an MLB investigation, we probably wouldn't hear much about it. Because it is a federal investigation, there will be kind of more that comes out, and we will actually hear about, but it's going to be interesting to follow nonetheless, because it could rock, it kind of already has rocked the baseball world, but it could really do some damage to Ohtani and the game of baseball.